Right, so I'm back working on the VTOL here. Did a little bit of work off screen, and so trying to get it ready so I can get in the career build series and start using it. So move some stuff around. I think I'm going to go the tall panels here. Don't like how some of it looks, but I kind of need it for the space here, so might angle this side. I don't know. We'll try this for now and see how I like it. A little bit of a dash there. A little dash paint on here. Alright, there we go, and let's see what we can do here. Change up some colors on here. Might move these over there, I don't know. How do I want to do this? Might move those over there. I'm thinking I'm going to do. This is autopilot bearing panel right there. Okay. Alright, so that's kind of looking what my dash is looking like. You know, I was talking about last time how, you know, I like having this dash up a little bit, but the issue is I can't put in any angle on there, which is what it would have IRL. That screws up my compass here, which is fine. We don't need the compass there. It's just a backup compass anyway. Ideally, I'd like to put an angle here, but I can't do it, so. Alright, so I got a bunch of the flying stuff done and integrated into this, so that's good to go. The issues currently having are, oh, that got painted. So I need to finish up panels and stuff like that. So did a bunch of testing, took it up to the Arctic, working well. This seating is going to be a problem. I have to deal with this at some point. Might chop a seat out of the back here because this one here is a mess. I want to put a seat back on that. We'll worry about that later. I want to get this panel going. So I really need engine instrumentation. So let's check out the engine panel. I already put everything away, so that's AP. That should be okay. Let's rename this too. So this is small VTOL. Okay. Now let's get in there and see what I need to read out, and then I'll deal with it. So what do we have? Panel right here. Okay, and then I need to read out some things. So I need to read out RPS engine 1 and 2. Battery, RPS, air. So I'm running one setup for both of them. So and these three can go here. Rotor position I need. I'm essentially running this as a seat controller out too, which I could probably put in as. Why am I reading the seat controller? I don't know. So let's look at that really quick, see what's up with that. Yeah, I'm essentially running this as a seat controller as well. The engines are running at the same rate, so. I think I want to do this. Alright, so let's do this. Let's update this. I'm going to put in a seat combiner. So let's save this. Let's grab, I think Night Owl has one. I'll see what the seat combiner is and grab that. That just allows me to run from either seat, but I don't really need that, do I? I need to read out other stuff. Yeah, see, I don't need a lot of this. Let's go look at it. I don't need a lot of this. Part of the reason I did it was for that little plane I was working on. It made sense, but this doesn't really make sense anymore. So let's see. I'm essentially passing it through there. I need, this way I can get some more nodes in here. So let's see where we're at here. So I'm reading the yaws out. Pitch, yeah, see, I'm doing it just as a C combiner. So I can get rid of roll, pitch, yaw. And I can directly hook those into the gyro. So where are we at here? Let's go. It's going to be kind of ugly now that I put it away. Our pitch here. So let's go pitch right from the seat. Okay. And then that goes there. Roll is going to go right here. So I put autopilot in this. Put a bunch of stuff in here. Up, down, collective. Collective right there. And then you are yaw. And then yaw can go left, right. Alright, so that's all plugged in, so these can go on this panel, so this will help me. That's autopilot. Oh no, you're killing me here. Oh, I did that wrong. Let's just load it up. I screwed up. That was the autopilot. I was thinking it was engine panel. It wasn't. See, that should be there. These are then going here, so let's see where we're at here. So, alternator, okay, air, where the hell are we at here? This is the thing here, so let's grab this panel out. It's gonna just make it a lot easier to see. It's one reason I had them on the roof for so long, and then I ended up taking them off the roof to do some work. Try to start putting this together. Pitch, roll, yaw. Okay, so they're not hooked up anyway anymore, so how are those going in is the question. So, okay, so it's probably seat coming directly to the... Yep, okay. Alright, so this was a weird panel choice for me. I chose this. This was a tiny little plane I did, so I couldn't have I didn't have enough space for a gyro, so I had to run a bunch of stuff here. So D value can go, P engine value can go, rotor position must stay, yaw can go, roll can go, pitch can go. Prop. Let's see what prop has to go out to the controller. So this has to stay. Seat. Seat 2 can go. Seat 2 can go. Okay, good. So we're making some forward progress on this. And we have a lot of extra nodes now to work with. All right. RPS number 1. Why does it do this? It does this where it doesn't want to put numbers in sometimes. Number 1 RPS. Okay, so I'm going to end up running it where I have duplicates. Alright, so that is engine. Number 1 engine. Okay. And then we'll add number 2 engine. I already added a node for that. Hey, how's it going there, Miles? So it always works better if you just separate the engines, but I kind of had them together for a little while there, so let's see. Rotor position. Just going to be screwing with the stuff, trying to get it kind of lined up how I want it. So that's battery, RPS 1, rotor position, and this will be number 2, RPS. that's going to be output. Number 2, starter. Do I really need 2 starters? I don't. Run one starter. You know, in a VTOL, like well, most of the planes in this game, because you don't really get controllable asymmetrical thrust, we need to have. They need to be working in unison, anyways. You can't really do a engine out in this. Okay, clutch pumps. That's fine. That can stay. Alternators. That can stay. Prop. That can stay. Alright, so let's start getting these. Number 1, fuel. Number 1, air. Okay. Number 2, fuel and air. To air, okay. How's it going there, Gunter? What's happening? What's happening? Alright, so I think we're getting there here. Alright, so added a bunch of stuff here. This is no longer going to be the combiner. All this can go. Okay. There we go. So I simplified this up a little bit here. Do want to run multiple engines though, so let's figure that out. That way, if the engines misbehave a little bit, they'll tailor themselves how I need them. So what is this? This is clutch and alternators. So what I'm going to do here is to cut a node. We'll go. Okay, right now I'm running the same. Clutch, pumps. I think I will run alternators. So we'll leave that for now. I just haven't hooked the battery up yet, so that can go over here for now. This can all go down. Okay. And I want pretty much all of this jazz here. So this is going to come down. So where are we at here? Okay, that's good. So we can go from here. And that's going to be the second engine right there. All right. Move it again. Like that. Okay. And then I need, what are you? Engine number 2 engine. So that's going to go here. Okay. Fuel and air. Okay, that's good. So I want to run this to... Okay, that's the pit's good. I want to run this here to there. And then what are you here? P-value is going to run down there. That's fine. It has its own p-value. Works. And then where are we at here? What's running that? 6 here. Okay, that will go there. So what I think we'll do is make the starters, and so this. So if where are we at? Let's just save a node by making the starters kind of run their same thing. And that should be 6 here. Put an OR here. So this will be if either of the starters go, if either of the engines go below a certain RPS and I ask them to start, it will start both engines. So that way I don't have to have a separate node just for starting the other engine. It will just kick off both starters to start both of them. There's the other starter here. Okay, we'll do starters. There we go. I'll just save me a node. That's pretty tidied up, I think. I think we're good there. What is that? Okay, that's fine. What do you? Start a cutout there. Alright, so now we have the second engine plumbed up. So what I think I do want to do, instead of, I'm really hating 3 and 4 controlling the throttle. So what I will do is I think I will hook these up to the, I will hook these up to collective because it doesn't really matter because I have them limiting the rotor RPS anyway, so we'll do that. So what is this panel? Okay, there. So I think we're in better shape now. So let's start writing some of these out. We check up with chat. Okay, let's see. So I want to read out, let's update this. I'm going to look at my panels. Let's configure the panels before I start doing this. All right, so this is kind of the cockpit, how it's looking right now. I'd love to put this block over here, but I just can't do it. Just can't do it. Just can't do it. You know, I need something without a collision to stick there. Just can't get it done. I could theoretically. Can I do it? Probably not. I could maybe do it. I'd have to put a. Yeah, I probably actually could do it. Let's try something. I really want that aesthetic, so let's try something here. See if it ruins things for me. So let's let's grab a wedge. That's a 1x2 by, okay, that's not the right one. We'll grab an XML wedge here. That's the wrong way. Stretch wedge 3. Let's try this. That's nothing. I never stretched that one. What the hell's going on here, man? I know I have one. Long wedge. That's ultra long. Wide wedge. Wedge times 3. Wedge 8. Wedge 4. 1x2. I don't want 2s. I don't know why I have multiples either. I have another wide one. How stretched is this? It looks like we're making one. Alright, so the plan is kind of this, is what I'm going to do is try to stretch a wedge. So it will sit here, and it'll stretch up to touch the panel, and then I'll put a stretch here to try to cover that up. And that way I can try to cut the sharp edge off. Or that squared edge, rather. Let's go. Let's go ding dong, zip zip zip. Okay. Why does my one key want to work? It's aggravating. Okay, I'll just quickly XML that off screen and we'll get going on that. Let's open it up, see what it looks like here. Okay, that was the wrong direction. Let's fix it. There we go. All right, that's good. All right, so let's see. Let's get this wedge in there. How I want it. Yeah, it's, you know, it's a tiny little detail, but it's gonna make me happy, so. Okay, I really didn't want it this color. That's fine. Let's see. Sometimes they're a pain to paint, sometimes they're not. That one wasn't too bad. Okay, let's go ahead and cut that. That will just let me, you know, that tiny little bit of something I think is helpful. Is it sticking through the window? I can't have it sticking through the window. But it's hitting the window a little bit, but I don't think it's too bad. If it bothers me later, I'll deal with it. But then that will let me put on another panel here. So. Come on, give me the thing, you scumbag. Come on, there we go. Okay, it's just not merged yet. All right, good. Merge that there, we'll merge that there, and then I need to cut out here, and then I want to get a block, 3 block, single block. Did I actually stretch this single block? I just call it single block. What the hell happened here? Where is the dragger on this? There it is, it's over here. Here I know I have to have a, call it a 2 long, but I think it's a 3 long. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's a 2 long. Okay, I don't want a 2 long. Oh my god. Why? I thought I had a bunch of these already XML'd and they're being a pain to find. 3 is like the most common size. I don't know why I don't have a 3 done already. Alright, we get the, okay. Nice thing with this one, it shouldn't matter which way I go. There we go. All right, good. Let's see if I can't paint this up properly. Oh, you suck so bad. Let's see. There we go. Okay. That's not bad. Okay, good. So that came out and gives me a little bit there, and then I need to do the tops here. There we go. Do that, and that will kind of smooth that out a little bit there. Let's go take a look at it in game, see how it looks. So it looks good, you can't tell. It gives me a little bit of an angle on there. Yeah, just that tiny little bit of angle that cuts the sharpness off. I do need to kind of color this up though, so that's going to be interesting. I don't necessarily have to, but I was going to color this here like this. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's good. Yep, I won't be able to see that, so that's good. And then the back side here is invisible, but that's not the end of the world. Alright, good. So just a little bit of detail helps. How's the stream going? Is it going now? Some of the guys said the stream was freezing up. Alright, so that is helpful. So we'll put engine instrumentation here, so we'll start working on that. So I want number 1, RPS, dial 0. What am I running to? Like high 20s. What are we talking? 1200 for now. Let's see, number 2. Oh, crap. I want to do manifold pressure. These are going to be RPMs here. So number 1, RPM. And this is going to be, we'll do doubles, so we'll talk 50. Okay, and this will be number 2 RPM. Because I do have constant speed propellers on there, so. Alright, good. So that's in. Number 1 temp. How's it going, Citrus? 0. Alright, and then what are we running here? Both fuel tanks, so let's see. Number 1, fuel. So why is a gauge push 0? And then I don't know what I'm running there. It's like 250. Let's see. So they're somewhere in the neighborhood of like 260 divided by 3.785. So we're talking about 68. So we'll go 70 gallons aside. Okay, so that's that, and this one needs to be fixed here. Alright, and then I don't know what I want right there. Probably starter panel there, so. So do master power. Okay. So we're talking, what are we, 9? 9. I'll probably do this. I'll do the starter over the top. Let's start on top, so I don't know what I want there yet. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20. So we're up to 20. Okay, so that's 16. This will be 7. Nope. 12, 16, 20. Okay. Alright, there we go. So that's set up. We'll do starter panel up here behind our head pretty much. So we'll do power, flip switch, avionics, flip switch. Okay, and then we want mass power avionics, starter. What do we want here? Fuel valve starter, maybe? Yep. So that'll be that, and then I don't know what I want here yet. Maybe lights here, maybe dimmer panel there, so we'll hang off on that for a minute. Let's go additive. Those are all colored up. All right, good. It's coming along. I don't know, Citrus. I think there's a Mastiff in there, but none that are red. Okay. Let me see what to do next. Yeah. All right, let's start plumbing these. So we'll write. I'm gonna regret doing some of what I have done here. Panel. Do we have panel in? Alright, so I need a panel in, and then we can pass it through the panels if need be. So we'll do that. So there's panel there. Some things are going to change here. Let's see where we're at there. 13. Okay, so 13 is master power. So I'm going to have to run another panel, do a pass-through, that's fine. Avionics fuel is, what was it, 13, 14, 15. So 15 is going to now control these PIDs. And what was this? Props. Okay. And this can go here. That was a seat controller that's gone now. Okay. So let's see, that is going to run that, and then avionics needs to come out of somewhere. So we'll run that out of the next panel, I think. So let's start doing some writes here. So we need to write 8 writes. Looks like 8 writes so far. Now, first two are going to be the manifold pressure, which are going to be direct reads off of the RPS times 2. So we'll do function. Let's do this. Then I can edit them as I need. All right, that's going to go there. This is going to be the RPSs for 1 and 2. Okay, so RPS of 2. How's the RPS for 1? Right here. Okay, it's up top. All right, and then we'll do multiplication on that, just times 2. So this will be MP multiplier. For manifold pressure, we're just going to multiply it by 2 for now. So that is that. Then we need to have RPM. So let's just do a regular function here. Let's see. Probably. So I want to make it so that if I change this multiplier, it will auto change these. So it's going to be a little bit interesting. So it's going to be. Yeah, I can't use that then. Let's see. So I need to plug in the RPM. Let's start with that. RPS rather. Alright, so that will go in there. This will go in here. Alright, and then so it will be essentially... You know what, screw it. Why am I making this overly complicated for no reason? Yeah, I don't know why I'm making this overly complicated for no reason. Okay, next time 60. Give me RPM. Okay, so that's RPM. And then after RPM, we're down to temp. Let me run temps on here. Okay. That is the tempage right there. And next I need fuel, so I need to read in my fuel. So what I'm going to do is pass this through another panel to get a bunch, to get the fuel in there. First, if there's anything I can lose. I don't think there is anything I can lose. So kind of just have to do it. It's not the end of the world. Okay. Check chat in a second. Just rocking and rolling here. Start with that for now, and then I can make this. That's going to pass through, so it's going to be at least 4, so we'll go like that. So comp in, comp out, info pass, PT, okay. So this will be number input, number 1 fuel. 2 fuel. All right. Now what we'll do is we'll run them straight through here. Grow. We will go ahead, and what am I reading those on? So it's we gotta be at 7.8. So manifold pressure, RPM, temp, fuel. Yep. So it should be 7 and 8. So we'll go ahead and we'll pick that up here. Okay. Let me double check that, make sure that's right. So let's see. Liters to gallons. Yep. I think 2.8 3x3. Yep. 2.8 cylinder 3x3 is in there. Alright, so that is there. And then we'll be able to pass this info right through, and that will go out to the panel there. Okay. So this will go, let's see, let's start daisying these up. So this goes to okay. So I'll pass that through, and then we'll pick up the 2 fuel quantities here. So we have fluid level of number 2, fluid level of number 1. That should pick that up. All right, so this is good, 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 good. I haven't decided on that yet. This should be mostly running. I need to bang out an avionics on this. And what starters need to change to whatever the hell this is. So that is 20. 19 is the fuel valve. I don't know if I got that right. 19 is the fuel valve. Okay. Did I do that right? Nope. 19 is the fuel valve. Okay. 20 is the starters. So let's see. Okay. Just do a little bit of redoing the logic on that just to make it a little bit more compact and less cumbersome. Go. Okay. Alright, so that will run the starters, keep them to themselves so that if either of them meet the condition, it will start both starters. That way, it save me a node. Alright, where do the panels go? Right here. We'll go to panels there. We need panels in here, so this will go across there. I think we're looking pretty good now. I need avionics out. We'll do that off this panel. Avionics. What was that? 2019, 18. 18 right there. Got a flood in my basement I had to deal with the last couple days. Got most of it up. So see if there's anything in the chat. It seems like you guys just kind of talking amongst yourselves. Alright, good. So I think we're good there. Let's update that. And this is now starters. Okay, so this is going to go to the starters. So there and there. We need to do a bunch of plumbing here. So I tried, you know, I had these not supercharged, but I had them force induction with the scoop. And that was not, I couldn't cool it. I'm just running really simple air cooling. So unless I up the cooling, which I don't really care about, you know, I don't want this to take the job of other crafts. So, you know, this is still, you know, fast, but it's not screaming fast. So that will give me an incentive to go run some of my other craft if I want to go really fast. And so it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a limitation there, so that I have to kind of choose to pick the one I want, you know, for that particular episode. Okay, that's there. What are you? Alternators. I'm gonna run this like this for now. And then I still need to put in an alternator controller. Right now I just have it, it's always at 100%. So I will fix that. Clutch stays at 100%. I'm just continually pumping water now. I'm not really... what's that? That's the fluid pump there. That's the fluid pump there. Okay, so that's clutch pumps. Props. Props don't go there. Props go to the controller. So where is it? Rotor angle, keypad, collective, roll, yaw, pitch, prop pitch. And what is that? That's air. Things got moved around, so it's using the old node positions. I gotta be careful here. I have a bunch of exhaust deletion that I have to deal with. So yeah, I finally put in 3 exhaust deletions. Which I don't know if I need that much, but if I had any sort of real exhaust, it was smoking, and I didn't want any smoke, so I ended up just, the exhaust pipe's fake. Where the hell is the real air? Right here, okay. Alright, let's see. I think we're mostly hooked back up here. Alternator is air. What do you? RPS number 1. And then RPS number 2. We need to check composites, make sure those are hooked up correctly. Seat, panel. Okay, that's good. Number 2, engine. Number 1, engine. Okay, I think we're mostly good here. Let's jump in. So it's flying pretty well. Took a trip up the Arctic with it, working pretty well. All right, so let's go master power, avionics, fuel valve. All right, good, we're started. We're getting manifold pressure, we have RPM, we have temp, we have fuel, we have, so probably around 60 is good. But so one thing too is if you, oh, I need the controller for actually raising and lowering these, so that will get put in here somewhere. What was I going to say? Let's stop it really quick here. I have no way to fill this right now, but if you were to fill it up extra, it would go up in volume, so you kind of have to, like if I went ahead and checked the, where is it, right here? It will hold 234, so we're short about 6 liters, and that's just because it flows into the pipes. So that's to be expected. All right, so I need to put in a controller for the rotors to go up and down. So I want to do. Let's see how to do. So I either want it here or I want it down here. I'm thinking here. So I'm going to keep it on the seat as well, but this will allow me to do it here. So let's go to, that's rotor, up, arrow, oh, come on, don't do that. Arrow button up, push 9, okay, and then I want rotor down, down. Come on there. Arrow button down, push. Why did that never get numbered properly? What the hell? 8, okay, I didn't number these out. 9. Nope. Yep, 8. 9. There we go, 10. 11. 12, okay. And then I'm going to put a rotor position here. Rotor position, I'm either going to do it a gauge or rotation up. I think we'll just do a gauge. We'll do 0 to 1. I'll make it easy that, and then I don't know what I want there yet. Okay. So let's start plumbing that in. Yeah. Hurting for a node right now. Okay, I'm going to need to go master power anyway, so what I'm going to do is change out where avionics is to that pass-through panel. So this here will go... It was 1718, I think, something like that. Let's double check it before I screw it up. Then I have to just come back and do it again. Click on, please. 1718, yep. Okay. that over to there. And then I can do rotor movement off one of these panels. Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll go back in here. And this is going to be output, number, rotor. Okay. And where the hell did that just go? Here. Right here. Okay. Right, and so how the hell do I want to control these? Probably 3, 4. I'm thinking I changed it up back to 1, 2. So we'll do 3, 4. Okay, we'll do 3, 4 off of the seat, and then we'll also do that panel. And check the numbers on this. 9, 11. Okay. So, what is it? 6 hours? So 6 hours and like 21 minutes is when the open period for the Build Challenge Golf rules will be closed. So keep that in mind. And then the rules will be locked, and then I'll make the video. So I don't make the video now until the rules are locked, because I don't want somebody to just watch the video and then be like, hey, the rules in the video said this. It's like, you know, so I kind of anticipated that problem. So what I'm doing now is I'm not going to make the video until the rule set's locked. Then they're the same, you know, even no matter how much I say, you know, hey, make sure you go and look at the most updated rules on the Discord. You're gonna get somebody who doesn't do it. So I want to make sure that it's you know, everybody knows where the rules are, and so that's I'll make the video once the rules are locked. So let's see. We want to do. Let's see. 3 is going to be up. 4 down, I think. 9. Yep. So 3. 3 and 9. 4, 11. And that will be the rotors there. All right. That will do the rotor control. We need that. That's integral to what I'm doing here. So let's see. And then we want to go out from right here to rotors, rotor. Let's chat's quiet today. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and spawn. Let's go take a quick test flight, make sure everything's copacetic. Okay, that's already not working. Why you screwed up now? Let's see. 17, 18 is AV. Oh, that's why. That would do it. Okay. There we go. We have avionics now. Fuel valve. Start them up. Alright, those go up. That's with that. I'm going to press 3. 3 goes up. 4 goes down. This goes down. Beautiful. And I didn't put the position indicator, but we don't need it, so. Alright, so I'm going to quickly mute the music. And so presently, I'm also controlling the RPM with the up-down arrows. And so they will also do the collective. And the way I have it working is once the rotors go up to a certain angle, it will limit the RPS so that, as you probably know, like any sort of like when you're using the pitch on the propellers, if the RPS is too high, it will really start to wig out the GPS. So when I raise the rotors, it's automatically going to cap the RPS, and then it will let me use it as a collective. So kind of dual purpose there. All right, so we'll do AP on for the gyro benefit. Start to increase my thrust, and I'm going to start to bring the rotors up. And so this is why I'm doing it, is like I can now control this a little bit more how I want. There we go. Didn't like my, didn't like these things hanging. Ran over one of them. I also need to add a little bit of prop pitch on there. It is misbehaving. So you see how it's like it's jerking, and that's because it's working with both the rotors right now. As I go down, it's going to automatically shut off how much the props. So right now the props are not doing any of my roll pitch. I can now. I should be at max RPM now anyway. So I'm max RPM, and then I'm going to start bringing my prop back, which as you can see, I'm going to set my RPM. So I control my power with manifold pressure, and my RPM is set with the, what do you call it, with the props. So it's standard constant speed propeller system. So you see, we still go fast. We go about 200 knots. If I put those scoops on, I was up to like 230, but I can't cool them. So, you know, I don't have a ton of space for cooling. We'll have to see if it's important to me to get that even cooler. I don't know yet, but really hurting for space. And I like these nacelles. I don't want to change the prop nacelles. So, but works pretty well. Now that I have some temperature gauges, I can kind of watch what my temp's doing. But I know that if I go prop all the way back, I have no temperature problems. So my hands are off the controls now. You see, it's flying pretty well. Why is it doing this? Wonder if that's the... So this is... See, it has this issue at some point. I think that's the smoke issue. So it's still having smoke problems, getting rid of the exhaust. Even though I have 3 manifolds on there to delete the exhaust, so... Do not know what's going on with that. So that is a problem that I have to deal with, so... You can see it's now it's choking on the exhaust, so I have to see why the hell it's doing that. But I have 3 exhaust deletions on there and it's still not enough, so I don't know what the hell it's doing, so I gotta deal with it. So there's my regular intake. The scoops, like I said, I had to take the scoops off because it was just causing me to overheat. It's putting too much fuel through the engine. It was causing me to overheat, so. So temperature is no problem right now, so. Start bringing the props. Start bringing props forward, try to get a little more speed, see what happens to the engine now that it doesn't like this. Yeah, see, it's really, it's starting to, really hates this, so something's up with this exhaust. I can't get this exhaust to go. I don't know, maybe it's I'm over, you know what, it could be I'm just overstressing the engines. They're down to a 6-to-1 gear ratio though, so I don't know. So what I could do is, I'm slowly bringing the props back. I want to see when it starts to do that. Okay, right there. You notice start to misbehave. And what's that? 400 divided by 60. 400 divided by 60 is 6.6, so it's not terribly high. Or it's not that low. So that's 14, 14. That's, let's see. So let's bring the prop in a little bit. If it keeps having this problem, what I'll do is I'll limit the prop so it can't go past where it loses stability. So we'll watch this needle here. I'm just going to quickly put in a heading 040, and then what's my altitude? We'll go to 1,000, and that way I can just watch my gauges. I don't have to watch the airplane. So autopilot's already in. I put that in. Start to increase the prop again. Push the prop forward until it smooths out. It's something, you'll watch the speed, it will just kick up, it will start to behave itself, so might just have that issue where I'm overstressing the engines, because, see, I'm starting to sink because I don't have enough thrust. There we go, now the engines are back up to running fine. What I might do is just restrict it to there, but I have to worry about cooling, so I have to give it a look. So we'll see. I'll play with it, see what happens. But it's running pretty well. You know, we got doing 171 knots. That's not bad. So this tanks are gravity feeding. So like if you see, if I lean over this way, you'll see this one starts to drain, and that one will go. It's just draining from that. So we'll check our temp. I'm gonna just let's give us a little run to the Arctic. Just we'll go south just to see. That's the worst case scenario for temperature. So let's turn to the south. Give it a little bit of a high temp. See what it does. Check. Check and build challenge discussion. Okay. I got a question from somebody. I'm just checking it. Question about the challenge, put that in there. Alright, good. So let's see. What do we have temp-wise here? So temperature is an issue. It could be an issue, so that's what I'm testing now. Is I need to check that out, because what I'll do is I'll limit. So the engines are running fine as long as they don't go down anymore on RPS, and that's probably because I'm overstressing the engines. They were just, by increasing the blade pitch, I'm asking it to do too much work. So it's like I put too much weight on the bar and I ask somebody to do a bench press. They just can't do it, you know. And so, you know, you have to de-stress the engines, and so I could get the stress off by adding the scoops, but then I have definite cooling issues. So I could try to put some more robust cooling in there, but, you know, again, it's not the end of the world. I don't need it to go ultra fast. You know, the game distance is so short. If we had like 300 nautical mile distances in game, yeah, I would focus on speed more. And that's one thing that is, you know, I've complained about this before, is this continent, I and many of us were thinking and hoping that this was going to be the same distance as the Arctic. And I think that was still what they should have done, is if they stuck this down here, that's only 45 nautical miles from here to here. That's pretty short. That's 45 nautical miles. And if this was 45 nautical miles from there to the south, you would then have about, you know, still short 100 nautical miles. And, you know, they said that the new distance is 256 square. So, what's that? I'm trying to, let me find the cam to nautical miles. 256, so 138 nautical miles. So that would still be within the maximum range of the game. You know, and that's what I wish they had done, was if they put this continent down there, if you really like long flights, you could go from arid biome up to the Arctic. If you don't, you go here to here, or here to here. And then, hey, you really don't like long distances? Okay, just hang around here for a while, and then once you get sick of this area, you take that arduous, you know, 13-minute flight down to the south or up to the north, and then you stay on that continent. So it's kind of, you know, you keep moving from pond to pond. If you like a small pond, every once in a while you got to move to a bigger, to move your pond, but you only do it once. And then with ships, the same thing is, like, you can take containers from here down to JSI if you like doing container stuff with ships, but you don't want to be on your ship all day long. And so you could go like this, or you could go like this, you know, and you could do that. And then when you wanted to take the longer trip up here, you take a FJ to Sawyer South, and then you don't want to take the long trip right away, so you do Sawyer South, Sawyer North, Komodo, Komodo here, and you do the short trips, and then when you feel like doing a longer trip, then you take the long trip again. You know, so that's kind of a way to do it, to make it work, I think. Let's go up to... Let's increase my altitude so I don't hit these mountains. I gotta figure out what's up with why it wants to bank a little bit. You know, presently there is a lot less fuel in this tank. We're completely out in this tank, so I need to do something about trying to get these tanks to equalize, but I don't know how to do it right now, so we don't have this. I don't have the space to really do it. So somebody was asking, this is the orientation of the connector, so make sure if you're in the challenge, this is how your connector is supposed to be. You know, you want, yep, this is how it's supposed to be to land on the pad. It can't go the other way. Triton moves in one direction, and you need to come up behind Triton to match its speed. You can't be coming at it diagonally. You have to come at it straight. So, keep, you know, that was asked and answered in the discussion. So, if anyone had that. Yep, there's a size limit too. Somebody's asking if they can get around the size limit. Essentially, nope. You know, it's shown in green. You know, and I updated it, so make sure you're checking the updated rules after it closes. It will close tonight. I will make the video. I will go through a little bit more detail in the video. You know, there's a green piece sticking off the back of the pad now. I updated the workshop page download, so that your tail can stick over the railing. There's a green railing. That's where your tail can stick over the green railing. And then there's a green set of 4 blocks. So that's 1 meter. So your tail can stick off 1 meter past the back of the pad. It can't stick off the front because I need the crane needs to be able to move. So one of the rewards for winning the challenge is it's going to be in a career build series video. So I need to be able to actually use it in a video. So, you know, I need to be able to go out, take it off, do a rescue, and come back and land. So we're going over the uranium mine there. Let's check temps here. So temps are still climbing. We're at 92 degrees. They're climbing very slowly, but let's see if I can, you know, one thing I can always do is come back on the power. I'm going to try to start bringing my prop back, and I want to get to the lowest level before I start running into issues where it misbehaves here. So I'm just going to gently tap it down until it starts to oscillate. So I had already reduced the gear ratios on this to try to de-stress the engines. I went from a 9-to-1 to a 6-to-1. Alright, so let's see. Still gaining temp, but we're not gaining temp that fast. I'm going to come down. Let's see if I can get down to 600. I think 640 is when it was starting to misbehave, so let's try to go down to like 7. So lower the RPM I can get. I am going to be going slower, but I'm going to save myself from over-temping, so. The other thing, it could be a p-value on the prop, and I just have to fix that. So that's something I can look at too, is tuning in the p-value for the prop. Each vehicle is going to have different p-value tunings. That's like, you can take somebody else's numbers and start there, but you really need to tune your vehicle, and that's why it's important to learn how to tune and to, you know, just practice it. You know, I've showed the dial method. Like, I'm using my dials to, you know, you can see how it's oscillating now? That is oscillating a bunch. Now watch when I add in the prop. So that means the p-value is too high on that prop. Now if I start adding the prop up, eventually when I get up a little bit, probably because it's less stressed, you'll notice it stops oscillating so much. So potentially dropping the p-value will fix that. So now notice the oscillation's gone. You're always going to have some oscillation, but notice it's down. Now it's under 2 decimal places where the oscillation is. So you notice the oscillation is below 2 decimal places. So that's good. So the p-value is good until I get low, which is probably what I'm doing is overstressing the engine, and then it's trying to overcorrect. And so I could theoretically go in there with a p-value change and fix it. So that's about where we're good. we're still climbing on temp, so I'm going to have to probably figure out something to do. If I can get a robust cooling system in this, I can then go ahead and put the scoops back on. But I think I'm going to struggle. So the other thing to do is, you know, in real life, you don't go full throttle everywhere. Some people think you do. You don't. You often will, or generally, like in small airplanes, you can go redline constantly. Like little Cessnas, you'll go redline all the time. But that's because the real red line isn't where it's shown, you know. And so what you do is you come in here, which I know it's anathema to Stormworks sometimes, but you want to reduce your power. So we're going to start to reduce the power here. And so we'll watch our manifold pressure, and we'll start reducing manifold until... I wonder if I didn't hook this up right. I know I've hooked it up right. I do have to reduce quite a bit to get it there. I'm holding it down, so it looks like I didn't set the thrust up right, so I have to fix that. But you can reduce power as well. You see we're just still building temp, so you know you can reduce power as well, and that will help to slow the RPM down. You know, so you have multiple ways. That's what you'll do in real life: is you set your manifold pressure and your prop for RPM. So pretty good. It will over temp here eventually, but it's running pretty well. I have a couple issues, so I need to fix that throttle. We'll do that while I'm thinking about it. Playing a bunch of Tarkov lately, so that's cool Tarkov videos if you're interested in any of those. Those are up. That was fun getting some Tarkov. Did some Tarkov with Monk. I did a Twitch stream right before this. You know, so if you're interested in watching any Tarkov content, I think what I'm gonna do now is do all the Stormworks on YouTube, and then I think I might just do Tarkov on Twitch. I don't know yet, so I'm gonna play with that a little bit. Just helps with discoverability. You know, it's, if people are interested in Tarkov, you know, they can see it a little bit easier on Twitch. Let's see. Let's go in here, see what the hell's wrong with my throttle. I changed the way it runs here, so... Alright, seat 1. Channel 4 is up, down. 1, -1. Those are good. Okay. That's not connected. That will be why that's not going down. Okay, good. So that was silly of me. So make sure that's all... Okay, so that would be why that is. So I just had a bunch of rushing, not getting things done right. Alright, and then... Okay, that controls both engines, so we're good there. So that should fix that issue. Alright. We'll do some prop testing here and play with the p-value here to try to get that fixed. But it looks like there's going to be a cooling issue. And yeah, so it looks like it's a cooling issue, so... The issue is this is super compact, and I like it this way. I like it compact. I like the nacelle shape. I do not want to screw up the nacelle shape. So because of that, it's kind of a pain. So I'm going to cut off these, pull these off for now. Did I go 2? I went 2. Okay. And I'll pull that. I don't want to pull both of them. Damn it. Come on. All right, let's clear that, and then let's go like this. Make sure this is back. I need to go back on that. Okay. So let's grab this like that. We'll cut that, move that. There we go. I just want to take the covers off, essentially. Take a look in here. So like this is all my exhaust deletion. Oh, this here is a problem. This is probably a problem there. Okay. That is probably a problem there. I'll get rid of that. Let's try this and see if that goes. So this is my simple air cooling. So air comes in the scoop. When we're moving, it goes through here and exhausts out this fluid port here, and then it cycles. So I need to see if I can get more cooling in there. Huh. It's super duper compact in here, and like, so... Yeah, I'm hurting for space, man. what I could do is be a little weird. Yeah, my mind breaks. Like, this is a horizontally opposed, was it 12? 1, 2, 3, 6. Yeah, horizontally opposed 12. Can't push that in, I lose the starter. Okay. Can't rotate this out here. I can't grab him there. I could put it here, maybe. Let's try something here. Let's go. Oh, don't do that. Just get out of there. Go back, go back, go back. Come on. All right, let's go like this. Try to reroute some of this stuff and get this more where I need it. Just get rid of exhaust deletion altogether for now. I can't do that. I just deleted something on the other side I didn't want to delete. So let's go like this. Can that go there? Probably. Yeah, so I gotta do a bunch of stuff to get this fixed. So let's see. That can loop there, this can loop here. Perfect. So that will actually work. Maybe. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. So let's cut that. Not a lot of cutting here. Not really. This is a pain right here too. So let's go. I don't like using the electric radiators. I like air cooling because that's what you really do. But the game is like, nah, dog. So you can't do it sometimes. Is the way it is. I still need to be able to join these up, these cylinder heads. So that's a pain again. I need to join the cylinder heads. Intake can be anywhere, so let's just delete them, and I'll hook them up again. All right. I gotta worry about this, so we can go in here. Where's that in relation? So that is this right there. Okay. So if this is it here, I can go out and then in, so that radiator has to go there. All right. So the radiator can go there. Coolant manifold. I have to join these cylinders back together. It's gonna be a pain. I need to put in a block to hide this anyway, so I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. Can I go there? Yeah, I just have to move a light. So that's not the end of the world. So let's do that. What we'll do is this. Can't do it with this. Arrgh. That's super annoying. The pump, because they only give us the very limited choices on which direction the pump goes, that's a pain. It really is. I do need this, though, to be... I need to get that manifold in there somehow. I need to get these manifolds joined up, too, so that's... I just have to. Not no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I have to do it, so I don't know where I'm going to go. Oh, the cooling funds. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm gonna start by putting in what I absolutely 100% need. I need manifold pieces. I can push the engine nacelle back one. They'll be bigger than I like. Run out of options here. I kind of have to do some of this stuff. That's like, you know, you start, like I've said before, you get used to the looks, you like the looks, and then it has to change, and it's just kind of a pain. Go down and up, and then in and up and around. Okay. Still need to put air in there. Any way I can get a... I have to... If I stretch this, I can put a external radiator there. Let's play with this. Check some chat here. Is the autopilot using available? No, I haven't released any autopilots. They require a lot of autopilot from Triton. That one, let me find the link to that. The autopilot is not integrated in that. I made the autopilot work, so I don't have that out. Let me see if I can find that person's stuff. But that's a start. They haven't updated in a long time. That's the only issue, and so it's kind of a pain they haven't. I don't know if they even play the game anymore, so it's an old system, and it's unfortunately not supported anymore. Or they haven't updated it in forever. I asked them the last post on the let me see. The last post is May 21. So, or I think maybe it's the one from me, I can't tell. But really cool system, but you have to, it's old, so use it at your own risk, because it's very old at this point. And like certain things, like the LiDAR is causing crashes at times, so keep that in mind. Okay. But it was a good system. It's just, you know, it's old at this point. Go a little bit bigger in the nacelle. See if I can't dress this engine up a little bit. Try to get maybe a little bit more compact. So I'm trying to put some more space in here to work things, and I'm going to try to put the radiator directly in there. So I'm not opposed to that look. That looks all right to me. So it's kind of redoing the shaping of it so that I have a little bit more space in here, and then we'll see where we can go from there. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to rip a bunch of stuff out of here. That's going to give me more space to put the radiator in the nacelle itself. Right, so I dig this shape. It's not bad. I need to just work this out to see what the hell I can do with getting this plumbed up. So we do have more space now, so what I'm going to do is actually want to drag this out and stick it back on, and then I'll go in the compact space and try to figure out some routing here, because I was going to run into too many problems. Like, I don't like where my fuel is either, and I kind of have to keep it there, so. A little bit of a bigger nacelle, but not terrible. Maybe we'll stretch this engine a little bit. That might help with some other things. So that's kind of why I'm not too grouchy about having to redo the nacelle, as it was a little bit problematic as it was. So hopefully be able to fix some of the stuff. Why didn't this get fixed? That's annoying. All right. Whatever, we'll just chop it. All right, so let's finish the nacelle up, and then I'm gonna see if I can't get the replumb this a little bit. You know, I could put a more powerful engine in and stuff like this too. Now that I have a little bit more space, so yeah, those are some of the benefits if I have to stretch it. I can always do some stuff I've been wanting to do. So I don't necessarily need it to go faster, but a more powerful engine will make it more fuel efficient. All right, a little bit more space in here. I can't do too much with it, but I can push this back one. I'll do that. Whether or not I actually fill it with more engine, we will see. Batteries are gonna go in the back of the nacelles here, so for now I'll stretch the engines out. All right, there we go. All right, we're in a cramped spot here. Let's see if we can't get this figured out and plumbed up here. So we're in a little bit better of a position here for plumbing things up. So. So there's the new radiator. That should be more efficient than the air cooling. The air cooling is just very inefficient. And I kind of like being able to look into the engines. So that's a benefit. I really don't like the look of the electric radiators. So do not. I like the thin profile of the nacelle, so I want to keep that. Right, so the cooling is hooked back up. I need to hook in. I wanted to move fuel. I don't know if I can or not. I can now, so I should be able to move the fuel to the other side of the engine. That's the benefit. Okay, good. So just delete them and I'll reconnect them. So this was part of the reason that was showing, was I had no way to move over the other side. Now I do, so that's good. I was just going to XML a block in, now I don't have to do it, so. Okay, good, and then fuel will go right there. Where are we at here? There it is right there. Still have exhaust and stuff, but I should be able Oh, crap, that's blocked. Of course it is. It doesn't have to be blocked, though, so. Okay, there we go. So that's fuels hooked now. I need to pair the cylinders up, and I need to do air. See if I can supercharge. The other thing I could do is back up the gearboxes and run a pipe out if I wanted to cut the engine down and supercharge this sucker. But then we could run into issues with cooling, so I want to test the cooling first, make sure this will cool. Because if it doesn't cool, then that's need to not screw with it anymore. Right, so I'm gonna just do exhaust deletion here. Okay. So try one exhaust deletion, see if that works. Where you at there, guy? There you are. Alright, we'll try exhaust deletion, see if that will work with just the one. I need air, and where do I want to run the air? Let me see how this looks really quick. I might do a scoop on here. Try something. And I'd have to put in a lot of this is just aesthetics, trying to get this looking the way I want it to look. Trying to get this wrapped up so I can use it in the career build series. So that's wanted to do another episode of the career build series, but kind of needed something different to do, so I wanted to get this kind of wrapped up. Might. Oh, how I like that. I kind of like it a little bit, the way it looks. I don't think the black's good. The black's too much, but there we go. Like that, maybe. Alright, and then we're going to end up doing a fake exhaust here, so stick that on there. Can I still do my nav lights? Yeah, right here. Okay. I want to put those nav and strobe next to each other, so I was trying to make space for that. Alright, fake exhausts on there. Alright, so let's reconnect this stuff, see if I can't get this to run right. Alright, I think we're good. Alright, need to test so yeah, I like that. That looks good with the radiator exposed. You can see the engine in there. That's kind of nice. The nacelles don't look oversized. I think they look better than before. So, all right. That one's not starting. What happened over here? The this didn't get merged. All right, that will do it. Nice. Pause the music for a second here. All right, so I'm gonna go up. I do need to add a pitch because if I go full throttle trying to do a horizontal takeoff, it will like try to push my nose into the ground. So that's just need to add a little pitch on it to overcome. So, you know, IRL you'd have these tipped up a little bit more. You know, they'd be tipped up just a hair. In game, we can just do that with adding a little pitch on there, so that the center of thrust. Essentially, what you're doing is correcting for the center of thrust being above the center of gravity. Center of gravity is about mid, right where that dot is. And of course the props are above it, so. See, it wants to go forward, so a little bit of up prop pitch on that will help. What is oh, it's at the rev limiter. I need to reduce the thrust here. Just it's hitting the rev limiter. The p-value is not perfectly tuned in, so that's why I was misbehaving. Turn the game volume up a little. Let me know if it's too loud. Turned it down, and then I don't know where my levels are supposed to be anymore. All right, let's start putting in some autopilot stuff just to get us some consistent results. 203. Okay. That way I can test the engine out. So these radiators will cool better. I like the look of them, so. Let us see, here we go. We'll see you later there, Miles. Alright, that's when it's going to misbehave, is right there. It starts to misbehave on me, so. Because it's overshooting. It's overshooting the rev limiter, so it's giving me power, no power, power, no power, power, no power. So. Alright, so we're leveled off here, and what do we have? 14, 4. Let's see, 14446, 14444. It's about 24 RPS there. And then let's start bringing the prop back. So it takes off with a very small amount of prop. It's like 0.05 prop pitch for takeoff. And, you know, so, like I've talked about this before, like when you do your prop, you want to have low pitch, high RPM for takeoff. And then as you bring it back, you'll go faster. And that will be, and then you'll get to your fast speed. That'll be your max speed setting. And then as you bring it back all the way, that'll be your max efficiency. So we're getting good speeds on here. See what the temp's doing. Temp's going to still rise until it gets to like close to 100. It doesn't want to drop off anyway. So there's 220. So we're still going up. So we got a good speed off this. So that all I did was add scoops. There's no supercharging on this. It's just scoops on there now. So there's 230. $235. This is fast. Thing is, I just need to make sure I can cool this sucker. I want to get up to max speed. Ideally, I'd like it to be able to stay cool at max speed. But that's not always the case. And why are we pitching down? See, I can't. It can't overcome the pitch. Something's keeping it from overcoming the pitch. So I probably have a. I must have a clamp on the autopilot, and it's not. I have to decrease the clamp on the autopilot. I think the autopilot's clamped too low. It's for, you know, like if I have enough control surface, I think the Albatross is probably the last thing that had this. You know, you clamp off how much pitch, and then this needs to use more pitch. So that's probably what it is. It's not clamped enough. That could be part of the problems too. So I need to unclamp that, see what it does. See, now I added enough trim on there that it can exceed the pitch because it's adding the trim to my pitch. That's why it's struggling to maintain altitude here, is because it's thinking it has a different number than what I put in there, but let's keep working on this here. There we go. We're sustained up around almost 250 knots. So. I'm just still coming back on the prop. So I'm reducing RPM and increasing blade pitch to do it. Just trying to get up to max speed, and I want to do a test, see if we can maintain max speed and not overheat. So 260 is pretty damn good. And I need to pitch again, add some trim because it's... So we shouldn't have this prob. Once I add a little bit of prop pitch, it will have consistent prop pitch on the propellers when I am in horizontal flight, and that will overcome that center of thrust being above the center of gravity. So we're doing about 260. Can I get any higher than 260? Probably not. 261. We're getting there. 262. We're doing it. So temperature, as you can see, is not going to be able to be maintained. So I need to start pulling the prop back. So as I pull the prop back, I am going to be able to reduce the RPM. And we'll see if I can't not overheat this sucker. Alright, I'm going to quickly shut off vehicle damage. Because I want to, I just am late, so I want to make sure I can actually get it to cool down without bursting into flames. It just ruins my test if it bursts into flames, so. Am I at max prop? I am. Alright, so I'm at max prop now. Alright, so with the scoops, it's just running uber hot. Yeah. So I'm at max prop here. And so what I can do is I can reduce my my power. So I'll do that. So we'll start to bring the power back. And I'll see what power setting... Because like I said, in real life, you do not run... You know, large aircraft, powerful aircraft, you don't run them at full throttle all the time. You burn up the engine. You know, you pull back. And so we're still doing 180 knots, and we're losing temp now. So, you know, and I also like to have jobs as a pilot. You know, that's, you know, a lot of people will want just automation, and that bores the hell out of me to let the plane do everything for me. So, you know, if I have to monitor temp, so I need an alarm that will ding me for temperature. Sometimes I put an auto system that will automatically reduce the thrust, just so it doesn't burst into flames and crash me. But so like so right now we're able to go at least 184 knots at before we overheat. So I'm gonna start to increase this up again. And so what I'll do is if it exceeds, say, 111 degrees, it will automatically pull the thrust back, and that will maintain. So like right now we are on the hairy edge. We're perfect. See how we're just gently losing temp, and we're doing 216 knots. So this is perfect. This works. It's a little bit heavy on the temp, but you know, this is how you have to do in real life. You really do have to pull your power back. You don't run them at full power all the time. You bring your power back, you bring your prop to full pitch. What I can probably do is, now that these engines are more powerful, because I have the scoops on there, I can probably increase the gearing on the gearboxes. And so instead of pulling the power back, I'll end up putting more load on the engines, and that will give me even more efficiency. So I'll probably end up doing that, because I'm at 700 RPM. I'm probably burning a bunch of fuel. Like, yeah, I'm going to be out of fuel soon here. I'm eating fuel like a crazy man. So I need it. So in order to get that fuel down, I need to increase the gear ratios. So that's working pretty well. So let's go back to 9-to-1 gear ratios. So that should work. So it is controllable. The temperature is controllable. Like, you know, people will talk about not being able to control their temp, and sometimes you'll ask them, did you reduce your throttle? No. Well, reduce your throttle. That's one way you can do it. Well, I want to go 100 knots in a boat, you know, that's a small boat and not overheat. Well, sometimes it's impossible, you know. You know, you could just cheat and shut it off. If you're gonna cheat anyways, you might as well just cheat and shut it off. You know, which is fine. You know, play how you like. You know, I'm all for the fantasy builds and stuff, but that's you know, sometimes that's the answer. Is, you know, if you want to do something unrealistic that's really super duper unrealistic, sometimes you just need to go full fantasy mode and shut off reality essentially. All right, so we'll taxi out here. We'll do a vertical takeoff this time, and we'll do a transition. So let's go ahead and I don't have any brakes on this, so you can see I'm gonna have to just jump us up in the air here because I don't have any brakes on this sucker. All right, so engines are up. I like the new exhaust. I can see it. That's cool. Let's go 500 feet. Altitude hold. Let's say 060 on the heading. 060 on the heading. We'll actually go 180. I want to go south because that's where the temperature is the worst. So, all right. So here we go. So you see it works fine. It also does station keeping fine. It will do the station keeping for me. So took the autopilot off of night owl, so that works. All right, so we need a transition here to forward flight. So we're gonna go ahead and okay. So see how it's doing this dart and stuff? That's because currently we're at 900 RPM. I didn't change the RPM limit on it, and it's now as a 9-to-1 gear ratio. So if we're at 900 RPM divided by 60, so we're at 15. So we should be at 10 most because we don't want those rotors going faster than 60. All right, so we'll start to bring the props down, get some forward speed going here. Some people like that. They just have a push button that goes into horizontal flight. I don't like that. And the reason, again, is I'm a real pilot. I want to pilot my craft. I want to make the decisions. I want to do the changes. I want to actually, you know, that's what's fun to me. So, like, see, I do it manually. Different wind conditions. Like, if we have a strong headwind, we're going to be able to transition earlier. So it's, you know, I actually like being a pilot, so. And now we're above 90 knots. We can easily transition right into forward flight mode. Nice and smooth. All right, good. So we'll start throttling up. Ah, Christ on a cracker. There we go. That was I started losing speed. I needed to increase my throttle first, and I didn't do it. So just quickly try to crank this sucker up. Let's start going up with this here. Right, there we go. Let's go 500 feet again. Altitude hold. Make sure I don't have any trims left in. I don't. Okay. Heading hold 180. Start to bring the rotors down. So yeah, a lot of that like spinning nonsense is because the it's due to you know, I didn't fix the transition for having a 6-to-1 gear ratio. So as the rotor goes down, right? So the rotor's all the way up as a 1. So what I'm doing is essentially I'm multiplying the rotor position times the value of the pitch roll, and collective of the propellers. So what's happening is as they go forward, they do less and less of the actual control of the vehicle. And so that is set up purposefully so that I can start to add throttle here. And if it tries to pitch or roll me with the propellers, it can't do much because it's really limiting it. This could be that exhaust problem again. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, don't do it. Come on, man. Pain in the ass this is. That's a gyro issue. It's pissing me off. It's a gyro issue and it's driving me nuts. It's over controlling and it just slows me way down. I don't know why it's doing it. There we go. All right. I added some prop in, and that's helping. This all the way down. Okay, so now the gyro is overacting, so I have to deal with that. Bring the, so I over throttled it. There we go. We're under throttle. What it keeps happening is I keep going too high in the throttle, and it is over controlling it. So it starts to pull the throttle back, push the throttle back, and so it's going, you know, and it starts to pitch my nose because I don't have the correction in yet, and so then it's destabilizing it. All right, so let's start bringing the prop back some more. Try to go to max speed. So again, because the center of thrust is above the center of gravity, it's trying to, every time I increase the thrust, it's pitching my nose down. So I need to essentially unrestrict the pitch, but I also need to get up to 1,000 feet here. I also need to correct that. So what I'll do is add a certain value of pitch so it's as though the center of thrust is in line with the center of gravity. So like, see, I have to add it as I increase the bite of the air. I have to start to increase my trim. See, it doesn't want to maintain altitude. And the reason is the propellers are trying to push my nose down. So I then have to overcorrect with the control surfaces. And so by doing a pitch correction on the blades, that will fix that. So let's see. So we're down to 800 RPM. We need to get at least a 7. So I'm going to go all the way back on my prop. So let's just go back on the prop. And we'll watch our temp here. So I see I can get to a much, so last time I could only get to 800 RPM with max prop. And so now I can get lower because I now have a 9-to-1 gear ratio on that. So it's much more efficient. I can go the same speeds, probably even faster, at a lower RPM. So like, I'm down to 500 RPM. And now my props, whoa, don't do it, you suck so bad. I hate it when it does this. That's that, it's, again, center of thrust, center of gravity issue. You know, I gotta understand this being frustrating for people who don't, like, understand the mechanics of it. You know, because it would seem like it's inexplicable. Why is it doing this thing? And they don't understand the mechanics, and that is confusing. And so, you know, if you understand that the reason it's doing it is the thrust is above the center of gravity, so every time I add more push with the propellers, either by increasing the blade pitch or by increasing the throttle, it is trying to push my nose down, and then the gyro is freaking out because it doesn't know what to do. And so I have to fix that. And that's you know, I talk about a lot how, like, people have been blaming the game for some of their own engineering problems. They say, oh, the game sucks. Look, Mike, you can't make a good helicopter. You can't make a good VTOL. You can, but you have to understand the mechanics of it. And so is it a lot of work? Absolutely. You know, and luckily, you know, for me, luckily, a lot of this stuff I learned when I did my degree in aeronautical science. But, and that's why, you know, I do tutorials and stuff, is to try to help people with that. Is if you know, there generally is a physics reason why this is doing it. It's not the game just being stupid. It's that you just don't understand that physics. The game is doing what it's supposed to be doing. The game, your physics is off, your engineering is off, and the game is showing you what would happen if you don't correct that. And so again, in this case, the issue being that the center of thrust is too high. And so, like, you see how much elevator I have on there. See how much my elevators are sticking up. That is to counteract the fact that my engines are up here and my center of gravity is about the middle. And so it's trying to push my nose down, and now the control surface need to control, and the gyro is going nuts because it's trying to overcome it really quickly because, you know, as I thrust up quickly, it's trying to push that nose down really fast. And so it's trying to really control it quickly. And so what I need to do is, if I add some prop pitch on here, it will, as I increase the thrust, it will be as though the engines are in line with the center of gravity and will work fine, you know. So But, you do have to understand those things. So, still gaining some temp, but not too bad. I'm going to keep bringing the prop back. So, ideally, what I'd like to... You see the manifold pressure is going down? That will happen as your engines slow down. And so now, before we were at like 711 RPM was as low as I could get it. We're down to 491, so we're going to be burning less fuel. This still is hungry for fuel, which I'm kind of happy with. I don't want this to have ultra long range. This is meant to go on to Triton, and if you watch the last career build series, I really enjoyed. I at some point had to break and go get some fuel because I hadn't gotten fuel in a while. So I actually went over to the rescue, stopped at the island, got fuel, and then went back. And so that's kind of, it gives the world a bigger feeling. Like, people will complain the game has unrealistically high fuel usage, and it does, but the game also has unrealistically short distances, and so, this is, like I said, this is 45 nautical miles, to go from a temperate climate up to the Arctic, and it is all of like 10 nautical miles to go from a temperate climate to a desert, and so the distances are comically short, and so in order to make it, kind of seem more realistic, they take it as something that's not realistic. They say the fuel burns are unrealistically high, but because the distances are unrealistically short, they're calibrated, somewhat to be, reasonably aligned. And so that's kind of the dealio with that. Let's check temp. We're still climbing in temp, but you notice we're going 218 knots. And we're running cool. So you notice that's the difference in changing the gear ratio from a 6 to a 9 to 1. Is before I had to bring the thrust back to maintain from overheating by this point already. Now we're not overheating. We're going faster. And, I didn't have to bring the manifold pressure back at all. And we'll see if we overtemp. But if we overtemp, I can still, my props are at 100%. So this means if my props are at 100%, I could theoretically go even higher in a gear ratio. But what I'd have to do then is add one more gearbox. So I'm not interested in doing that. But then what I'll do is I'll just reduce my power, my manifold pressure. And that will, we'll lose a couple knots, but we'll be able to maintain temp. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to throw you guys a quick ad. We'll let this run for a second here, and I'm going to go grab another drink. I come back just in time for run out of fuel? I did. Okay. So, okay, good. So we ran out of fuel just as I was sitting down. So that is actually all right because we hit 104 degrees. We never overheated. So that is good. And so that's actually works pretty perfectly. Let's take a quick screenshot of this. So we made it from here to here on one tank. That's not too shabba-labba. Again, I want this to be short range. This doesn't have to be ultra long range. So that's pretty good. Made it from here to there, and it didn't overheat. So we're good. So that's pretty good. I am happy with that. So hopefully we'll be able to get this wrapped up and I can play with it in the career build series. So let's go ahead and let's see, what is this doing here? Constant on signal audio. All right, let's see. So we're pretty close to having this ready. Let's go ahead and start racking out some electricity stuff here. So, okay, those are connected. There. Okay. There. Okay. So that small fins will control somewhere else. That is the keypad. All right, good. These two will go. Come on. Just connect when I ask you to connect. There we go. All right, good. Engines, those, if you don't need to shift gears, you do not need to screw around with your engines, with your gearbox. You don't have to bother connecting them. So that's the only thing that needs to connect there. These two will connect there. Control surfaces are going to connect like so, and then we're going to connect. I have some fins in the front to help with pitch control, as you can see, because, you know, so I bet a bunch of people are going to run into this problem with the new challenge is you, you know, because you need to keep your engines up high, likely, you're going to have to worry about that center of thrust being above the center of gravity. And so here we'll do a quick demo here. So let's see. All right, why are you on the wrong monitor? Why you were on the wrong monitor? There we go. Okay, because I was playing Tarkov earlier. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll do a quick demo on this here. So, all right, so when we have an airplane, all right, we have the ground. Doesn't necessarily need to be the ground, but oh, actually, we'll get rid of the ground. So you have an airplane, right? So you have your engine up here. So I'll just do some boxes, will be the easiest way to do this. So we have the airplane, all right. Now, because of the mass of the airplane, we're going to have our center of gravity, which is going to be, it's going to be the pink block we have in game. So your CG is here, center of gravity is there, all right. So ideally, you want your center of thrust to be in line with your center of gravity. So you would stick a propeller right here, and that would go in line with the center of gravity. So ideally, you want to put a propeller right here. Bingo. Center of thrust is in line with the center of gravity, and that's what it will look like. So center of thrust is in line with center of gravity. So that's ideally what you want. We don't have that. We will, I just thought I was going to be able to get it here. Let's go, I'm going to do this. So we will add a layer here. All right, so let's make a propeller again. I'll add it, and then this way I can move it. So, all right, here's our propeller right there. Okay, and so then what we'll do is for red will be our center of thrust. All right, so here's our center of thrust. All right, so if we put the center of, so if we put the propeller here, as you notice, your center of thrust is in line with your center of gravity. That's going to cause no pitching moment. So it's not going to pitch the nose down. It's not going to pitch the nose up. All right. As this moves up, what it's going to do is it's going to, as you see here, the pivot point is the center of gravity. So imagine if you put a pivot on here. Because this is pushing here, it's going to push the nose down. If this was down here, If this is a pivot again, you push here, it's going to push the nose up. And so, for example, when you have, say, a 737, a 75, 76, anything with underslung wings, when you thrust up, it will literally push the nose of the airplane up. Now, one thing they do is if you look at some of those engines, they are actually tilted down like this. And the reason is when the airplane is in the air, it's actually has the nose pitched up a little bit, and these will be in line with the relative wind. But 100% in different airplanes, as you add or reduce thrust, it will literally pick the nose up or let the nose down. For example, you pull the thrust back, it will often drop the nose. You push the thrust up, it will pick up the nose. On my airplane that I flew, the Embraer 145, I flew a bunch of them, but all the jets I've flown, let's put it that way, all of the jets I've flown, the engines have been on the tail above the center of gravity, like this. So if you give it thrust, now this is actually more stable back here, but if you give it more thrust, it will push the nose down a little bit. And so it'll push the nose down. So you have to consider that. So in the VTOL here, the engines are up like this. They're up on the wings, and they're ahead of the center of gravity. So what's going to happen here is it's going to, as we thrust up, either adding prop pitch or if we just increase the rotation speed, it's going to pitch the nose down. So what we can do to counteract that is we can go like this. All right. And that's going to counteract it. So now the thrust vector is lifting us up. It's pushing up as well. And so this is now, theoretically, if we turn it enough, we get a VTOL, it completely cancels that out, right? We have no problem. And that's what we do have. We have a VTOL. So there is no issue with me adding thrust and pushing the nose down when it's like this. So what I need to do is, now in real life, what they'll do is instead of having the engine perfectly mounted like this, they'll put the front of the engine mounts up a little bit. And that's something they'll do IRL. And so as it goes up, you just gently tilt it. And that will overcome that. And so what we can do in game is instead of tilting the engines, which I could tilt them in this, but instead of tilting the engines, what we can do is we can actually use the pitch value on the propellers. In this case, negative. A positive value would push the nose down more. A negative value will pick the nose up. And so what we can do is essentially it would be as though we have the engines tilted even in forward flight. And so what this will happen now is when I thrust up, instead of pushing the nose down, it's going to push equally, hopefully. So I'll get a number where it's pushing perfectly so that it's essentially negating the issue of the center of thrust being above the center of gravity. So that's what we're looking to do there, hopefully. So should be able to figure something out for that. Let's finish up with this electricity, and then that's the plan, is to get that fixed. So I'm just hooking all these systems together. Cat's being annoying. He won't sit somewhere convenient. So let's see, that's a light. So lights go to lights. I need to add lights up again, so we'll do that later. But yeah, so I'd like to get this in the career build series, and that way we can kind of get moving on that. What's this? Will that fit there? 12, okay. All right, so this will be, I don't want it there. Let's delete it. I want it sideways. It's just going to be easier to see it when I connect it all. So let's go right here. All right. And so I want this will be my panels. Come on, drag, you scum. Panels, actually we'll do it here. Panels, winches. This needs to go in a, right there. And then control surfaces, pivots, engines, lights eventually. I'll add lights eventually. I need to do the side lights. Yeah, those need to go to the side. Nothing really. This needs to go part of the winch system there. What is that? That's the camera. Camera can be part of that. The door goes directly to the battery side. All right, good. So let's add some batteries. All right, so we'll add 2 bats here. All right. And so both these batteries are going to be connected onto the hot side, the battery side of the bus. And then we go ahead and the master power flips this relay. All right, so electricity is now connected to the system. Yeah, the engines are tilted up. Yep. There's a slight tilt. You don't need much. You just need a tiny angle up, and it will do it. But the Osprey is very close to having. Osprey really doesn't have much offset. Let's find a pic of it. You're like, here's some pictures of the Osprey, but they all do the same thing. It's pretty basic aeronautics how they do it. They just, the propellers don't go completely all the way down. They go to a point where they're pointed up a little bit. So I just wanted, God damn it, I hate clicking on the links. Open in, there we go. So like you see the center of thrust is above the center of gravity. Center of gravity is probably somewhere in here, and so they're tilted up a little bit to overcome it. We had an Osprey back in the day when they were still testing it. That was going in the airport that I was flight instructing at. It was obnoxious. Had to tell them. We finally asked them to get out of there because they kept doing vertical landings on the runway, and we're all fixed wing trying to work in the area. And we're like, "You guys get out of here. We're trying to operate here." So like, see the 7.5 center of gravity's up here. That's not a good pick because it's vertical, but oh Christ, can we get a picture that doesn't suck? There we go. So like, here's a 7.5. The center of thrust is midline of both turbines, so it's here, and the center of gravity is here, so this is below the center of gravity. So every time you power up in the 7.5, it's going to lift the nose up. Embraer 175 behind it, same deal. Where's the 145? So ERJ 145 is what I've flown, or one of the jets I've flown. Keep trying to think. I'm clicking the open image in new tab because I don't want the website. So you see the center of gravity is here, center of thrust is there. It'll actually push the nose down a little bit, so you need to be ready for it. So as you add power, you expect the nose is coming down. So as I add power in the Embraer, I'd pull the nose back a little bit and retrim. You have to retrim every pitch, power, or configuration change. So pitch is every time you change the pitch with the elevator, you need to retrim. And the way it works is there's a jack screw in here, and you're actually moving the entire surface here. And there's a jack screw here. It turns the screw, and it pulls this down or pushes it up. And so if you change power, you need to retrim. You change pitch, you need to retrim. Configuration, flaps, gear, need to retrim. Let's see what else we have. I'm trying to think of some other examples. I'll just do stuff I've flown recently-ish. So let's do... Oh my God. Eclipse 500. So Eclipse 500, same deal. Center of gravity, center of thrust, cause a little pitch down on the nose. So you just keep that in mind, when you're flying it. So, part of it's pilotage. It's a little bit overrepresented in game, but part of it's pilotage. You need to understand as I'm adding power, I need to pitch up. I need to retrim. The problem is people are used to games that are arcade games. You change the power, guess what? The game shows the engines above the center of gravity. Guess where the thrust is coming out of? Center of gravity. The game's cheating. And so people will get into a game like Stormworks and say, oh, the game sucks. Well, it doesn't. It's you just don't understand that's... oh, this is why. Okay. We might be all right here. This got disconnected. That is bad that got disconnected. That could be causing half of our problems. That literally could be causing half of our problems because that tells the engine to not over rev. Hold on, I have to fix something as well here. So let's see. We'll do... So I need to go down to 60 divided by 9 should be 6.6. So what I need to do here is this needs to change. Where the hell is it? Right here. This needs to change to 6.6 because I I've geared up the turbines, or I geared up the gearboxes, and so it's going to, I don't want to go over 60 when I'm in vertical mode, so that's fixed. So let's play with this really quick. Let's do another flight. I want to see if this, because with that, I'll show you what that was doing, why that's a problem. So this is the engine controller here, and so right here is, where's rotor position? Right here, rotor pause. So if the rotor position is greater than, in this case, 0.2, it will reduce my max value to that. So what I'm going to do here is next thing I need to add in is a pitch. So we'll update that. So that was important. And then I need to go into the VTOL controller, which is now huge. I think the best way to do this here. I could do it off rotor angle, so that's what I'll do. So rotor angle here, and what I'm going to do is let me see. So what I want to do here is here's prop pitch. I want to add some pitch to this when my rotor is all the way down, essentially. So when my rotor is all the way down, I wanted to add some rotor angle, some pitch angle on the prop. So I need to find right here pitch, and I need to add that in here. So we'll do that. So what I'll do is, so we'll go, let's see, if rotor angle is less than 0.125, okay, so we'll do the same thing. If rotor angle is less than 0.125, this is going to a range of 1. So what we'll do here is we'll put a clamped value, and we'll make it, I'll do it with a function. So we'll do a function here. And so what we're going to do is as the rotor angle comes down, I want to add a little bit of pitch value on there, leave a little pitch in there. And so we'll come in here. And this will auto count up to 1. And I just want to limit this to, so that's going to go there. And so we need to do clamp. Why are you not typing? I think there's a Windows issue I'm having where like I can go into, I don't know, it could be a game issue because I go in, just went to a web page and typed clamp, no problem. And I go in here and it doesn't want to type. So, okay, so we're going to clamp this out. So we'll clamp X, and it will go to a max value of, let's say, Z. And so what that's going to do, make sure I press 0 and not O, okay. And so what I'm going to be able to do is I'll set the max value as we're flying. And what this will let me do is when the rotors are all the way down flush and I'm going in forward flight mode, why is this one not plugged in? Did I screw something up here? See, I screwed this one up. Pitch port is screwed up. You're killing me here. You're killing me, Smalls. This one is screwed up, dude. Okay. So we'll add that here then, I guess. So Z. So it'll be X. What the hell am I doing here? I'm trying to think the best way to do this here. Can't clamp it there then. I could add it afterwards. Okay. So Z is fine, and then we'll do Y. So we'll do plus Y. Okay. So what's going to happen is I'm going to plug this into here. And then I'll put a factor in here that will add some correction factor in there for the pitch. So okay, we need 2 of these. There we go. Okay. And this will go there. And then, okay, and then I can add a Z value on here, and that will fix it. Okay, good. So I'm in business here. So it's going to add, as when these go out in front of us, it will give me a correction factor, essentially. So And then I just need to put in a correction value. So I can't add it out here. I don't have any node I can come in, so I just need to start with something. Okay. And so this will be my Z value here. And this will be the center of thrust correction. Okay. So let's start with a negative 0.1. So that's negative. We can look at that. The way we can tell that is, let's update this. I don't want to look at it again. Make sure I didn't screw it up. Yep. So that will clamp that out at the value of this. So when the rotors are essentially down, it will start to count up and go up to 1. We don't want pitch to be 1. That's going to be insanity. And so we'll go up here, and that will give us a 1 times nope. Here, it's going to be x times z 0. Okay, that will be like that. So what's going to do is this is going to count up to 1 when the rotor comes down, and then it's going to go. So that'll be a max value of 1, and so it'll be 1 times my correction factor of negative 0.1, and then the minimal value will be that negative 0.1, and then 0 will be the most. And I'll show you why it's negative. If you look at the propeller blades, you'll notice we're having a problem where it's pitching down, so we don't want it to pitch down anymore. We want it to pitch up, and so that's this node here is negative, so that will be negative. So that's pretty small correction. We'll see how it does this here, but I'm going to actually increase it. Let's go to negative 0.3, because that way I know that if it's too much, then I need to down it. So what we'll do is we'll go do a horizontal takeoff. If I can horizontally take off in this, we're good. How's it going there, Oceanic? But yeah, they pretty much all do it the same way. They just, you know, they tilt the engines. So I've already noticed that the engine is much less likely to, as I thrust up, to pitch the nose down. So I was having a really bad problem with this pitching the nose down on a horizontal takeoff. And so if you're doing the challenge, this is what a horizontal takeoff is. So see, that is way too much. See how it flipped us up? All right, so that's way too much. We know that's too much. So let's go 0.1. That still, I bet you that's too much, because my propellers for takeoff are 0.05. So let's do 0.01. So we'll do, you know, we'll do a very small number, and we'll see if that's enough. Okay. So notice I add the throttle. Notice the nose is coming down. So right off the bat, I can tell that's probably not enough. So I want to do it when I add the thrust, is not pulling the nose down. So let's do 5. So that's what, 1/6 of what it was before, the first time. All right, so we're going to watch the nose. Does the nose dip when I increase the throttle? A little bit, but let's see if we can take off. Because remember, as I add more thrust, it's going to, you know, that pitch is going to get exacerbated even more. So there we go. It's still pitching the nose down. It's better. It was trying to completely do a handstand before. So that's still too low of a value. So we're at 0.3, was excessive and extreme. Let's go to 0.1. That's double this. And, you know, if it's too much, we know it's between 0.05 and 1. So we're looking for, like, we don't want much dip at all. A little bit of dip's fine, but we don't want a lot. So we're getting a little bit there. See, you can see it's progressively trying to push the nose down. But as we add thrust, it's going to... So see, it's trying to push the nose down there. So that's still probably not enough. We'll go to, let's go 0.2, and if it does a front cartwheel, we know it's too much. And then if it doesn't, we know it's between 0.2 and 0.3. And if it does, we know it's between 0.1 and 2. So I'm just kind of splitting the differences here so that we can kind of get in the range. Instead of like going up 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, or 0.01, I'm going to try to go over it, and then I know it's between the two and I can work my way in. So there we go. Nose is still pushing down a little bit, but it's really not excessive. Like, you would get that kind of nose push down in a Cessna 150. So. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. That is beautiful. All right, we have a little bit of flutter. I'll fix that. That's because my throttle's set too high. There we go. Fix the throttle. We're good. All right, so notice now my trim is zeroed. Much better. Much, much better. Yep, so that little bit of, what was it, what did I do, 0.2? Negative 0.2 pitch now fixes this airplane so that it doesn't have that issue. So now if I can't go full throttle because I'll run into when but notice I go full throttle, it's actually lifting my nose up. So I actually want that number to be a hair smaller. Watch. Take the throttle down. Watch what happens to the nose. Nose comes down. Pull the throttle. Watch the nose come up. Nose comes up. So that's just a hair too much, but I think I actually want to leave it a little bit up. And, yeah, that's not too bad. Each airplane has its own dynamics. Like, of course, if you're getting slow and you pull the thrust down, you're going to sink. But, like I said, depending on where the engine is, like in the 7.5, you add thrust, the nose is going to come up. In the ERJ 145, as I add some thrust, I need to pull the nose up a little bit because it's going to try to push my nose down. So, this is something pilots have to do. If you've only ever flown in a game, people are like, oh, it doesn't make any sense. The planes, it does. It's just, of course, you're used to games. That's nothing wrong with that. Just, you're just used to games. And so that's why, and so like the auto hover's off. My hands are off, so you see it's nice and stable now with with it off. And I don't have to trim a ton. Like, you still always have to trim. Like, if I let go, my nose is going to come down. So I want to pitch to the horizon. This is proper trim procedures. You pitch to the horizon, and then you add your trim. Trim, 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 trim. Let go. What's it do? Okay, it's still going below the horizon. We're going to pitch to the horizon. Trim, 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 trim. And we're going to let go. What's it doing? Just gently going below the horizon again. So we want to go back to the horizon. You don't want to fly with the trim. You used to teach this to students when I was a flight instructor. You don't want to fly with the trim. So we're going to go right to the horizon. Pitch, pitch, pitch. Trim, trim, trim. And now we go over. Okay, good. We're maintaining altitude. The roll is causing us to go down a little. But now we're perfectly trimmed. So if I let go, there we are. And so one thing I asked Basilicious to add to his gauge here, which he did. I'm very happy about that. I appreciate that. Notice we're descending. All right, so because we're going slow, let's increase the thrust a little bit here. Okay. So now, because I added some thrust, I need to retrim. Again, pitch power configuration changes. You need to retrim. So we're going to go to the horizon, trim. Go to the horizon, trim. All right, so now we're trimmed a little bit more. So actually, if you notice now, we have a little bit of nose down trim because that 0.2 is probably a little bit high. We're probably like a 0.8 or 9, I think, 0.18 or 0.19. So now we're trimmed out. My hands are off the controls. The auto hover is off. All right, and you notice we'll drop it a little bit so we know, okay, we need another trim. So we'll go up another notch of trim. Let it settle. This is how you trim. Like, if you ever watch a YouTube of a, don't watch amateurs do it. Go watch an airline pilot landing. You'll notice the trim wheels constantly going, especially Airbuses. When they do the electric trim, you can see the physical trim. Not all of the planes have physical trim. We didn't have physical trim on the 145. We just had electric trim. And so, in like the Airbus, you can grab the wheel and you can turn the trim yourself, and you'll see it on 7.3s and Airbus. Let me find a 7.3 real quick. I'll mute this out, the game volume really quick. Let me find a 7.3's cockpit. You'll see the trim wheels constantly moving. And it's because that's how often you need to trim. You trim constantly. It's a constant thing you need to do when you're flying a real airplane. So it's expected in game. So here is a 7.3. It's got to be a new one. Right here are your trim wheels. So you have a trim wheel on each side. If we zoom in, can I zoom in anymore? Right there, so the green is probably takeoff trim. So you want to be within the green for takeoff trim, and then as you go, you'd be constantly moving your trim wheels. And so then on the yoke right here, this is the electric trim. So as you're doing the yoke, you wouldn't be reaching over here for your trim wheel. You would be likely doing that. You might every once in a while grab the trim wheel, but you have electric trim. And then, for example, let's do. So I've flown these. See if I can get a good cockpit picture here. So our trim is, I like the ram's horn. We had ram's horn yokes. I like the ram's horn. That was very comfortable, these ram's horns, because it's a very natural position to put your hands on. But this is our trim right here. So the trim's in my right hand as an FO, and in your left hand as a captain. That's push to talk. And so you would you'd grab on here and you'd do your trim. There's no manual trim in here at all. It's all electric trim. And then you have like a A320 cockpit. So like an A320, you'll often see this. This is a new A320. I wonder if the new generations got rid of them. Here's an older one. Did the new generation? Oh, no, they're there. Okay. I haven't been in an Airbus in a while. So here are the trim wheels on the A320. So there's, I think this right here is your rocker for the trim on the side stick. And then you have your trim wheels here. So especially in the Airbus, you can really see it because when they turn when they do the electric trim, these go flying, and because they have little white dashes on them, you can see the white dash flipping, and so you can really visually see an Airbus when they're trimming really well. Let's see, let's see, what is it? So like when I flew this plane, see if there's a good picture. So when I flew this plane, the trim is, I think it's on this hat, if I remember right. It's been a long time since I flew it. But I think the trim is on the hat right here. And that's your trim control there. I really enjoy side stick. This was direct connect side stick, so this was fun. But yeah, that's your trim on there. So, but yep, so that's you're constantly having a trim, and if you watch an airliner come in to land, especially an Airbus, you'll be able to see those spinning. But so now it's, like I said, it's probably a little bit on the too much correction side, but you notice that's how you correct it. And so especially people ask, oh, my seaplane keeps nosing in, and the seaplanes are really sensitive because the drag of the water in game. And so all you need to do is you just you increase that pitch on your propellers, and it's gonna all it's doing is it's negating. All you really want to do is negate the effects of the center of thrust being outside the center of gravity, and they do that IRL by just tipping the engine just a little bit. You'd notice I don't need a ton. It's at point, what was it, 0.2. It probably should go down to 0.18 to 1.15 to 1.8, 1.9, something like that. Probably it's really in there, and that would give me no change. But like I said, in real life, you're going to get some change. You have a 7.5, you thrust up, it's going to push the nose up a little bit. So, but people will think that's unrealistic because the only thing they've ever flown is, an arcadey game that doesn't take into effect those things. If you actually flew an airplane, you'd be like, yep, you change your pitch, power, or configuration change every time you have to trim. So it's constant trim fest IRL. So like, I don't have flaps on this. I'm going to add flaps that will come down when the rotors are up. But you know, it's IRL pitch power configuration change. You do need to trim every single time, and that's just something you have to do. I'm glad we're not in an era of aeronautics and engineering IRL where prototypes do violent flips and cartwheels all day. Yeah, they you know, so much of it is wind tunnel testing. You know, they don't have too much issues with a lot of the test pilot stuff with that. You know, it's actually, to a certain extent, it is almost worse. An old analog airplane, the thing of it was, it's not going to, it was reasonably predictable because you had cables, hydraulics, and push rods. And so it can't really do too much craziness. The problem now we have is, think of like the 737 Maxes. The computer took over and was crashing the airplane. You know, if the pilot knows how to fly the airplane, and at all times the pilot should be able to take control of the airplane, and that's one of the reasons the pilot sued Boeing over the 737 Max problems, was the pilot at all times should be able to take over control. Like, you know, people say, oh, you know, we don't need to worry about the pilot shortage. We don't need to worry about pilots. The planes are going to fly themselves in the next 10 years. Nonsense. You know, I'm looking to go back into flying. I could have another 25 years of flying in the airlines, and I would still be there before the automatic airplane comes. It's not going to come. And the reason is this is when the stuff hits the fan, you want a professional there to take over. And you also want it there for liability. Now, there are things that automation helps. For example, if you have an exhausted pilot, an autopilot is a great thing as a tool. You know, I talk about this all the time, is an autopilot's job is not to fly the airplane for you. An autopilot's job is workload reduction. You're still there. You're still supposed to be monitoring every single thing the autopilot does. You're not there. Like, we would sit in there and read a book while we were flying somewhere. But there were two of us, and we were constantly looking at the gauges, checking, reading our book, looking back at the gauges, checking, reading our book. You know, people think they're going to be able to sit in the back of their car and read a book while it's rocketing down the highway. One, you do not want to do that. And two, you know, it's not a good idea because, one, you have to expect that the normal person is going to do maintenance. You can't get people to do an oil change on time. How are you going to get them to make sure that when they get a message that says, autopilot needs service, that they say, it's still working all right? Yeah, well, it's not going to work pretty soon because there's an issue with it, you know, the calibration's off. Or like, for example, like I have some aids on my car that they help me steer in the lane. They, you know, they'll push me back a little bit if I get out of the lane. Well, you know, it's still stupid. It still does stupid things. And guess what? As soon as it rains, it doesn't want to work right, you know, and they have issues with a lot of these things, you know. You can have a $25 million airplane that will do some silly stuff. You know, we used to have to take it off autopilot all the time because the autopilot would do something stupid. And we'd be like, what the hell is it doing? And for example, the way that most of us do autopilots in game is we do a PID. We feed it in the altitude we want, and we read the, you know, the current altitude. We had that in the Embraer 145. It was called flight level change. We hated it because it was never smooth. It was jerky. And that's in a $25 million airplane. This system did not work very well, you know, and so you can imagine what a civilian model of something is going to be, a car or whatever. It's just not going to work very well. You know, it's not going to be able to do what you think it's going to be able to do, and so you still need the professional in there who, you know, the professional knows what the costs are. For example, you know, a pilot knows that if the stuff hits the fan, I'm going to die, so the pilot pays attention, you know, monitors it, actually cares. You know, all you need is a bad software bug or somebody hacked the system, and now you got a bunch of airplanes crashing. You imagine the terrorism of people just hacking the flight control systems. You know, you need a pilot to be able to take over. And we used to take the autopilot off all the time. It would do something stupid, and you know, the autopilot doesn't know that it's going to be destroyed if it crashes. You know, it has no knowledge of it. The pilot does, and you know, pilots do stupid things, but you still kind of want that level of professionalism where you have a person be like, this doesn't feel right. You know, that's one thing that a computer doesn't really have, is the intuition of, your subconscious will tell you when something doesn't look right. You don't know why it doesn't look right, but something doesn't look right. And they talk about it was, back when we were living in the plains and there was a predator on the edge of the forest. You would just look at the bushes and you got a bad feeling. Why? Because your subconscious saw that there were a pair of eyes there, but your conscious didn't realize there were a pair of eyes there. And so your subconscious told you, be anxious, be ready to run. And you're like, why? There's nothing there, because you didn't see it, but your subconscious did. And so it protects you from, that issue. And the same things happen like when you're flying is you get an uneasy feeling. They tell you, if you get an uneasy feeling, go around. Because your subconscious is screaming at you, something's wrong, something's not right, something's wrong, just go around. And you come in the second time, you realize, oh crap, I forgot to put the gear down. Or there's something was running across the road, or there's an airport vehicle too close to the runway, and you didn't necessarily really see it, but you saw it subconscious. Your brain saw it, but your conscious mind didn't see it. And that's all important stuff that you kind of people take for granted with some of this automation. It's one of the reasons I want to do it. I can fly better than the automated systems. I can fly. It's definitely in game. So it's like. It's good to get a good feel for it, how it's going to fly, handy. So, all right. So this is working really well. So that little bit of correction fixed it. I'm going to change it just a hair. I know that it's probably pretty good right now. Let's wrap this up. This is almost done here, man. This is good. So I definitely wanted to get this, to a state where I was comfortable with it because, again, I'm asking everybody to do this for the challenge, and I want to make sure it's doable. So, and I think it is. So it's on this panel. All right, so right here, a correction value of 0.2. Let's go to 0.15. And if that is too little, I know it's between 0.15 and 2. So that's good. So that's all you have to do. Little center thrust correction. And this one, and so I'll show you a little bit more how this whole VTOL panel works, but it's not too bad. Some of this is the old stuff that can go. So I make mine a little bit more complicated because I want it smooth. I want it to be very configurable. I want to control it. And so, for example, here you have the angle of the rotor. 0 is propellers all the way forward. 1 is all the way up. So keep that in mind. So if it's less than 0.0125, so about a quarter, half, 50%, because in game the rotor will show its full up position at 0.25, so that's half of that. And that is so when it's 45 degrees or less, what it will do is we'll start to count this up. And it will count this up and it will start to take away the propellers. And so it goes in here and it essentially starts to reduce the propellers effectiveness. So as I push my rotors down past 50%, no longer does my propellers control my yaw, roll, or pitch. Only my control surfaces do it now. So that's what that's all about. Rotor angle. And so I multiply it by 4, and the reason is this. Again, like I said, it will read out a max value of 0.25 when the rotors are all the way up, even though you're feeding a 1. So what this does is take 0.25 times 4. That makes it 1. So what that will do is that will allow me to multiply it so that if the rotor is all the way up, my propellers will get maximum, or in this case, my collective will be maximum. It will be able to go its maximum value when the rotor's all the way up. As I bring the rotors down, this number gets lower. So at some point, it's going to be 90%. So it's only going to give me 90% of the collective. Less and less and less and less and less. And then down here to roll. Again, same thing. The roll is going to start to, the roll is multiplied by the rotor position. So I can, at full rotors all the way up, I can completely do all the roll pitch on my propellers. If I go to 90% up, I can only do 90% of my roll with my props. As I go down to 80%, so what that does is it makes a very, very smooth transition. Some people, like I did this on Hummingbird, it essentially shuts off. As soon as it hits 60 knots, it shuts off the propellers, and it just relies on the control surfaces. Well, it's very jerky. This is very smooth because it gently takes it away from me. And same thing here. That's just the other side roll. So the way you do your roll is pretty simple here. So on the starboard side, we have a negative x. On the port side, we have an x. So if we look here at our rotors, so starboard is negative. This is positive. So I believe if you go right, it's positive. So it's going to go. We want to go right. So it's going to roll us this direction, which is right. And on this one, it's going to go also right. So that gives it a negative value. So if we go positive roll, which is to the right, it's going to go, okay. I think I have backwards. I might have backwards. But it's going to lift this side, drop this side. So that's what it's going to do. So it's essentially going to lift this wing, drop this wing, we roll. Pitch for yaw. Essentially, if I want to yaw to the right, which I believe is a positive number, it's going to push this propeller forward, and it's going to push this one backward. And so that's going to yaw. So if you look at it from the top, if we want to yaw to the right, we want this one to push forward and this one to pull back. That will yaw you. So that's how that works on that controller. Pretty simple. And then what I do there is once, so we have prop pitch here. I can control my prop pitch when that's what this part is here, is essentially when I get below that halfway mark, it starts to add in prop pitch so that I can start to control my prop pitch to be able to go forward. And it starts taking away collective control and it starts adding in prop pitch control. Here's, let me see. So pitch is a combination of the pitch and it's also a combination of the yaw. And so pretty simple, you need to figure out which one, a yaw to the right means that the left needs to be positive, and that will go forward, and the starboard needs to be negative. So all we see here is that there's a negative for the starboard, and that works starboard. So not too bad. You just need to think of it element by element. And if you can't figure out a certain element, do one change at a time. Think about it, how it's mechanically working first, and then go in and work on it. But seems to be working pretty well now. So I think we're almost all done here. We get that all hooked up. Electricity is good. I think we're all set here. This one, that needs to be connected. That wouldn't be good. That would give me half my yaw control there. But I think we're all good here. And so I probably don't need, I put these in here because I put a lot of counterweight in the front. So these are giving me a little bit of lift in the nose. But is the spawner even working? Yep, it's working. Okay. So I could probably use a little bit of fuel capacity, but I don't need too much. But all right, guys, so I think I'm going to end it up there. So this, hopefully, let's save this. I haven't saved this in a while. So this hopefully should be good to go pretty soon. I'll end up being able to record a Career Build Series episode with this in it. And so that's kind of why I'm working on this, try to get that in, put it in the Career Build Series. If you have any questions or any rule changes you'd like, you've got about 4 hours and 22 minutes to get those in, because then the rules are going to be locked for the challenge, and then I'll try to get that video up probably tomorrow. And yeah, so I'll probably try to get that video out tomorrow that will be announcing the challenge when the rules are locked. And then you have till, let's check the challenge announcement here. Build challenge is going to September 25th, the morning of September 25th at midnight. So 0400 Zulu on the 25th. So the morning of the 25th. So your last full day is September 24th, and that will be that. And then I'll be able to work on that. So thank you guys for watching. I've got a bunch of links to all the socials and everything in the description. Some TikToks, some Facebook. I added a Facebook group, and some Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it these days. If you're interested in any Tarkov stuff, I'm going to probably start streaming that on Twitch. I might still do it on here, but I haven't completely decided yet. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.